here? By non-violence? How you think you got lynched? And how would you think King died? By a bullet like Malcolm X. Malcolm left a woman named Betty with 6 daughters, 2 in her stomach when he died. They've never seen their dad. King left a woman with 3 children too. What is it about one struggling for you that isn't about the other struggling for you? You let people decide for you who fights for you. What made Malcolm less a fighter for you than King? They both died fighting in the best way they knew for their people. None worse or none better than the other. But worst of all, you have not one day cried for Rosa Parks. And that sister started all. Just give them black sisters a chance. They will show us brothers the way. Because you see, they know that when the Africans were built, made their first calendar in 10,000 BC, 10,000 BC, called the stellar calendar, and revised that in 4100 BC, the so-called pre-dynastic era. Where was Greece? Where was Etrusca that later became Rome? They don't tell you about this, do they? They don't tell you anything about this aspect of the African, because it's not slavery. It doesn't deal with Amos and Andy. It doesn't deal with roots and novel, which they got you to believe had something to do with your history. They couldn't do this because they did not. Where were they when you were dealing with astronomy? That's the movement of the stars and the other planets related thereto. And astrology, I'm not talking no nonsense about when your girlfriend planet is down in Pluto and something. That's ignorance. Downright premeditated ignorance. Even a jackass wouldn't follow that. And some of you wouldn't come out the house unless you read a horoscope. And you get courses in it in universities now. How to be a jackass. Let us get it down. When Imhotep and others established the pyramid text and the coffin text, when you go to a place called Aswan and you see how the Africans, your ancestors, dug those marble obelisks. And when you go, you always they tell you in school, and they read the beautiful love story about the Majahara who built his palace for his most beloved wife, the Taj Mahal. They didn't stop to tell you that thousands of years before that, a pharaoh by the name of Ramesses II not only built a temple out of hewn rock bigger than this place, along with one for his most beautiful and most precious wife, Nefertara. Don't mix her up with Nefertiti. Nefertiti was the wife of Amenhotep IV, who changed his name to Akhenaten. That's the 18th dynasty. I am talking about Nefertara, the wife of Ramesses II. That is the 19th dynasty. No mention about that, because they can't tell you African men did anything good for African women, much less to mention pharaohs and queens. Yet the evidence is still there. You go to Ethiopia at a place called Lalibela. and you see the rock-hewn temples, the rock-hewn churches in the side of mountains, down in the ground, engineering thousands of years before any country existed in all of Europe. I'm not to speak about it. All I say to you is check me out. Check these things out for yourself. Go and see them, read about them, research about them. So when what happened? He said, why do I need to know it? If Dr. Martin Luther King knew what I'm talking about, he would not have gone to Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi to learn about nonviolence. He would have known that Gandhi read the works of Akhenaten to learn about, and he would have gone home to his native Africa to get first-hand information. But they kept the teachings in all the universities, even when he went to the University of Massachusetts, BU rather, with Dr. Harmon and others up there. They didn't tell him about Akhenaten, because you see, they don't talk about Akhenaten because Akhenaten taught about monotheism. He died before Moses was born, preaching monotheism, the worship of the god Aten, A-T-E-N. He taught about the Trinity of God, and you could go at a temple called the Temple of Luxor and see on the wall the Trinitarian concept 3,000 years before Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. But they couldn't teach Akhenaten. They couldn't teach these things, because then you would question what is being taught to you now in theosophy, in theology, in philosophy. But the point is that I'm going to be the bad fellow when this is over. And you're going to be told that he is the Antichrist. But the funny thing is, I don't have 3 names with 6 letters each. So I can't qualify for the Antichrist. They already specify how the Antichrist would come. And I look too much like Jesus to be the Antichrist. Oh yeah! What happened to Jesus since he got blunt? When ask your professor of theology how Jesus got blunt. Ask your professor if it was not until Michelangelo was commissioned by Pope Julius II in 1509 to draw what he believed the Holy Family looked like, that he took his uncle's son, and his uncle's wife, and used them as the model, and that became Mary, Jesus, and Joseph. Up until that time, it was the black Madonna and Child, which the present Pope went back twice to his native to worship at the feet of the black Madonna and Child. You see, the racism hadn't hit Europe yet. So it wasn't necessary to get rid of the black color of Mary, which you now say. When you don't want to say Jesus was black, you say he had no color. If he had no color, how did John the Baptist see him to baptize him? Talking about baptismal, you should go to the temples there and see baptism of the pharaohs thousands of years before Jesus. They call it purification rites. Go and see circumcisions thousands of years before there was an Abraham to be circumcised, and that to make him a Jew. Our education, quotation mark. I think that Carter G. Woodson, and I should have mentioned this man's name long ago, said it best in his book. The title explains what I'm saying: the miseducation of the Negro. Assuming that Carter knew at that time that Negro was wrong, but he had no choice, because he was fired Howard University by a man named Mordecai Kaplan, who was the president of the school at the time, for attempting to introduce a course in African history in a black school. Sad, isn't it? But how we can be messed up, and we mess up others because we messed up. But we can't admit it because we can't be wrong. We have to always have a theory and tell the student it's a fact for all things. It's like the other day I heard a woman talking, oh God, my daughter got an illegitimate child. So what happened to the child? You didn't have a law book? Illegitimate child. And I wanted to know what was that. So I went to the hospital to see what was wrong with the child. I said, did the child got a mother and a father? They had sex with a penis and a vagina? What's wrong with the child? Well, she didn't have a marriage certificate. I said, what that have to do with child? Do you know that Jesus and Mary and Joseph wasn't married? And that she wasn't married to the little angel either? But you go around calling each other bastard and illegitimate. How do you know you belong to your daddy? You're gambling with your mama. But you go around and then say, oh, I'm a good Christian lady, I'm a good Jewish lady, I'm a good Muslim lady, but you condemn a child for having a daddy and without a paper from City Hall. In those days, tell me, with your Adam and Eve story, the God didn't say, go to City Hall, get a paper, get married, then go out and multiply. God says in the book of Genesis, said, after he made a man and a woman, it's only the second time he can create one and make the other. He says, go out and get it now. Go out and multiply. That doesn't mean that you act like a pig in a basket and dropping everything you got. That doesn't say that. But it doesn't also say that if God give a woman a vagina and a man a penis, why do you think God gives them back? To use it. Well, they will put it in a picture frame and look at it. But this is the kind of distortion that you have been given by the same man who asks you to give him 10% of your salary. Every Saturday, every Sunday. Oh, I'm going to hell. That's no big deal. Because they said only 777,000 going to heaven. How many people in the United States of America? 220 million? If 777,000 alone going to heaven, you got as much chance hitting the grand prize in New York, in New Jersey, in California, in London, in France, as you got getting in heaven. So I'm sticking with the devil. But since he got more followers than anybody else, you don't hear the devil having to advertise, come to church. Because he got what's going. Because you pray so much. The other day you pray. Jesus came here in Harlem the other day with his heaven-mobile. In the middle of Harlem. Coming down Lenox Avenue at 145th Street, 11 o'clock Sunday. Jesus knew he had brought all the things black people were asking for. The heaven-mobile was full, even much more full than Santa Claus's chariot. 11 o'clock when the bell rang, the first thing Jesus heard, give me. He says, oh hell, I didn't bring enough, and it went right back. Because they were still begging, give me a fur coat, Lord. Give me a new Cadillac. Give me a European girl. Give me a job. The same people forget that the same book said, I will help those who help themselves. You pray for the exam. Pray. Don't do it. Pray. Let me know when you flunk out. There's a certain amount of pray. You say, do you pray? Yes. I pray when I get in the airplane. I pray now. I don't have to go to the church to pray. You know what I'm praying about? Strength to beat my enemy. I don't want God to give me no TV set. I work and get there. I pray for God to hold the moon from bumping into the sun. That's all I want God to do. Stop an iceberg from following my head in Alabama. That's a long way the iceberg got to travel. But I want the iceberg to leave Alaska, because if the iceberg hit me in Alabama, we're all dead. But I'm not going to pray for God to help me to beat my enemy. I don't do that myself. And I'm not non-violent. When my mother had me, she didn't have me non-violent. A 9-pound baby don't come up non-violent. You hit me and start praying. You pray. Because it's not natural. Because I know this. You see, when King Uri of Ethiopia in 5100 established the concept of non-violence, he didn't say at any cost. When Akhenaten brought his cousin Semenkari and sit him on the throne of Egypt as co-regent in the 18th dynasty, so that he could pay attention to non-violence, he didn't say at any cost. Not at the destruction of his people. When Rosa Parks got up in that bus, she had no PhD, no M anything, no B anything, but she had the integrity of an African woman, that she was no longer going to sit down in the back of the bus, and she was willing to die and take somebody with her. I know these are alien talks. These are alien thoughts, because you believe that praying can change it. No way. Praying didn't change lynching, because it still goes on. Instead of a Ku Klux Klan doing it, the government does it. But most of us in our academic role don't want to deal with this thing, and I can understand, because it means the difference between tenure, the bank mortgage, the yacht in the basin, the Mercedes-Benz. And winding down for the question and answer period, and I hope to be a very jolly one. I'm not going anywhere till tomorrow. And I'm sorry about that, but I have to teach at Malcolm King College. I teach there now voluntarily for the last 20 years. I taught a course. I've been teaching a course on Egyptology as my contribution to my community. And I don't like to miss classes. But you could see why from 1942, when I was started to teach, to the present time, I've had to struggle. I've paid the price. I've been shot at physically for what I teach, but no one wants to check the evidence. But the hundreds of people who have gone to me to Egypt and study tours have seen. And the sad part is that so many go and see, but they dare not say a thing when they come back for the fear of losing even family. How sad that is. How sad it is that people would be angry because I say to you, have pride, wake up. I shouldn't say to you, wake up black men. I should say to you, wake up people. I'm the only people in the world, we are not allowed to talk to each other for our own common interest. Everyone else, the Italians come together as Italians, the Irish as Irish, the white Jews as white Jews, but we are told we can't have anything by ourselves. because it's reverse racism. They can't even let us have forward racism. We reverse. Everybody else is benefited by us, but us.